about giving them a $5,000 increase.
Can I make a comment to that? You know, we have two sets of lobbyists. We have our federal lobbyists and we have our state lobbyists. Our federal lobbyists currently have been getting $96,000 a year.
Used to be 120.
And I'm not so sure that they have produced the kind and put the value into this county as our state lobbyists. And I'm not so sure that we shouldn't take a look at those dollars as a opportunity, since they've already been budgeted, to maybe come up with a different way of taking a look at our federal lobbyists over the next year or so.
Okay, well, let's finish.
But I'm finishing this because it would provide us some additional dollars that we wouldn't necessarily have to go in and budget additional dollars.
I need somebody then to make a motion to amend their contract to what?
I'd like to ask, are we still in discussion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How long have we been retaining Curry?
I think this is the 4th year.
And has the contract moved at all over the 4 years?
No.
It's been at the 48,000.
We haven't given an increase in a number of years.
But wasn't there, when they first came in, and it was going to start out at 48, but go up?
Let me say this. When it first started, it was just Brett Hassett. And then it became Brett Hassett and Curry a couple years ago. And I can, you know.
They came in as Curry and Hassett.
It did, from the very beginning? I thought, okay.
That's when they started their team, right?
All right, but anyways, to answer your question, they have not gotten an increase since that first got in.
So the proposed increase is 10%.
Yeah, but Bruce, wasn't
wait,
it supposed to start at 48, they go to 58?
I would say we get a nice round fee like 60,000. Yeah. For the
No.
We've been paying federal lobbyists.
Make a motion, Mike.
Make a motion that we increase the fee from $4,000 a month to $4,400 a month, which would be 10% increase.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah.
So then we'll go back to this, and so approve the Curry and Associate contract as amended. Move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we got the renewal of the federal lobbyist firm. Chuck,
Okay, yeah, I'm not so sure. I'd really like to have a discussion on whether these guys have been, I don't think they've earned the 96,000 that we've been paying them. And I would like to open that up for discussion to see if we have any other alternatives.
Okay, I'm going to, you know, it's not that I don't think that Smith Andrews has not done a good job for us. I think they have, and I think they do everything that we ask of them. I think the bigger question is exactly what role do you want a federal lobbyist to play? And the reason I say that, for example, on the legislative end, we use NACO basically much more effectively than we did years ago. NACO really is our county lobbyist. There's a vast amount of resources that come through NACO, including getting into agencies and so forth. They're the largest lobbying group in Washington, D.C., if you didn't know that. So we got that part. That I think that we're pretty active in NACO, pretty well known. We have people that are in position, we can make calls to NACO, they're right with us. We ask them to do something for us, and you tell them you want to meet somebody in the Department of the Interior, it's okay, who do you want to meet? So I think those kind of things that we can get through our membership in NACO, which is also a pretty good sum of money. But less NACO.
No, it's a fraction of what we were paying. It wasn't even close to what Metro was.
NACO is up to
Like 14,000 or something.
Yeah, it's under 15,000.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's a deal.
Yeah, it's a deal. So we got that part that we can work with NACO, whether it's the executive branch, whether it's legislative branch, whether we have a issue with any office holder. So they're help. So what role do you want
Okay.
a federal lobbyist to play for us? I mean, that's the question.
Well, here's, you know what.
So
you
the
know what I
question
just
isn't,
heard?
because I hear Jim Smith will do anything we ask him. So it's not like they're not, I don't want to say they're not effective, but I'm thinking maybe we're not always asking to put the right resources, or using using a federal lobbyist firm. And you can get into, should you have, just like we've done with the state legislature, do we really have somebody who's pretty influential with the Republican side of the aisle, and the other ones on the Democratic side of the aisle? Not saying that they're not both, but sometimes you might want to use more than one. I don't really know what the models would be, but what I would suggest is this, is I'd like to continue with Dawson and Andrew on a month-to-month basis, while we actually sit down with us as the policymakers, with the legislative branch, Larry's office, and maybe some other key countywide office holders, and talk about what do we expect, what do we need from a federal lobbyist? Should it be one? Should it be two? Should it be on a contracted as needed basis? So I think we just need to have that discussion, how we restructure a relationship with federal lobbyists. Nick, I know it looked like you wanted to say something.
Well,
So.
Maureen, sounds like we're going to have a longer discussion about this, so I'll just offer this right now. I have worked with them since the county hired them. We had another guy, Jeb Darcole, I think was his name, and then Brett, but Brett's been with us for a long period of time. And a number of board members have made the trip out to Washington, both for NACO and for our legislative trips. When we started with Smith-Dawson, there were earmarks, and I had never had the experience of working with a federal lobbyist before coming here, but that was very valuable at that time. Without, because I said, do we really need a federal lobbyist? Well, you see in the congressional offices, staff are overwhelmed with the amount of work they get, and by having a federal lobbyist who can work directly with the staff, we were able to get paperwork moved through on applying for the earmarks. When earmarks went away, we had a discussion, I believe, at the legislative committee, and we changed our focus to getting into agencies. We still visited the congressional and the U.S. Senate offices, but we went to agencies. And I would argue, and I get nothing for this. I work for the county. I don't work for Smith-Dawson, but I would argue you won't get the same meetings from other groups that we get. We get in and see top-level people, and we have. When we've gone to the Department of Agriculture, we were meeting with the legislative director for the entire agency, not some lower level staff person. And that's what you're getting, is who can get you into, it's not just setting up the meetings, it's getting with the right people and working with them. And I don't know that board members see this all year round, but Bruce Freefeld and myself get CC'd on emails throughout the year. We're monitoring legislation. And I use the example I was talking to Mr. Frizzle on before. The heroin issue, we were at the Office of National Drug Control Policy long before it was an issue.
They told us it wasn't a problem, remember?
It wasn't a, they told us it wasn't a problem.
That's a regional problem you had.
And now it's on congressional agendas, it's at the executive branch in Washington. So I think the discussion is valuable, and it's a good question to ask, what is the role? But their role for us has changed from more earmarks to more legislative change. We were in the Department of Labor talking about WEO, when the WEO law was being rewritten. There's criminal justice reform is going to probably be a topic both at the state and federal level. That has an impact on our jail and our River Valley, so we want to be involved in that discussion. And then the last thing they've focused on the last few years is federal grants. They send us a lot of information, and when we file grants, they help get letters of recommendation or guidance on those things. So I personally think there's a value, but whether you go a different format, that's the board's decision.
And I don't disagree with you, Nick. I mean, I think that for the last couple of years, there's been a little shift for them to find us where there may be grants and how maybe to apply for them and get support. So I do think it has certainly changed the role. But I think we should still have that discussion of exactly how, what's our expectation? How do we want to, not even our expectation, how do we want to use federal consultants for lobbyists?
Can I just say one other thing? I've participated in the NACO conferences also, and I think NACO is great. It is a resource that every board member, our department heads and others, if they're not using it, they should use it. But it's a different apparatus going through an association like that, because when I've participated, we've gone with NACO groups, they're advocating for certain issues that are national issues, and Jim, you've said this before, their issues, sometimes there are issues, but sometimes they're not our issues. We're having our own lobbyist is focused on issues that are specific to Will County, and we can bird dog some of those issues.
But I do think, Nick, and I think Suzanne used them, called them, told she wanted to meet with some agency people, and they said that we'll set it up, no problem. So they will do those things for us if we ask. And if you want to be specific on who you want to talk to, they will help you with that.
Right.
So, you know, so I'm
just
talking.
not sure that they.
I'm not talking about, you know, the conferences they have. And
No, I understand what you're saying.
I do think they're a resource for that. And I think even Brett Smith, Dawson Andrews uses them and talks about them too. So, I mean, it's a resource for our lobbyists
Right.
too. So, so I do think we just need to, you know, rather than beat this to death here, why don't we, Suzanne, put this on your legislative committee agenda, give it some thought. In the meantime, we'll continue on a month-to-month basis with Dawson and Andrew, and we'll see if we can come to some type of, maybe nothing changes, maybe some things change, maybe we want to use more than one, and we'll have those discussions open. And Nick, I would ask you also to be, say, for objective. For example, if you said, you know what, really, if we're going to get into transportation issues, maybe this first will better be used or whatever. I want you to think in a broad base. What's the best way to utilize federal consultants? And how specialized they are. Some seem to be very, very specialized, and some don't seem to be generalists. But
I know you're just using that as an example, Jim,
Yeah,
but as an example, Smith Dawson, last year when we were out there, we met with the #2 guy at DOT. I mean, that's unheard of, I think, for a county to get in there and see that guy. I mean, the only person higher than him was the secretary himself. And we got a lot of attention because they're focused on what kind. I think part of that is because we have both
what's going on there
the
economically.
CED and the governmental league are all, we've worked.
And that's, you mentioned the CED. Now, here's why I think something, and John, I want you to listen to what I'm going to say. Okay. Because I know you were writing that. It's something I don't think you were paying attention to. You know, you have this.
Every sentence, every word you say it, Jim.
You have the CED and the Will County using the same federal lobbyists. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we use the same lobbyists to go over basically many of the same things when we go to Washington. So since you brought that up, Nick, I think that's another issue. Maybe we're better off participating with the CED, which is us, Dawson and Andrews, rather than us having separate contracts. Or maybe it's more efficient for them to come get on ours. I mean, I think for both agencies, and I do consider the CED part of our economic arm for Will County government. I know they have other private sector interests, but it doesn't make sense to me that we're using the same federal lobbyists to basically go over very much of the same issues. Now, we'll have another discussion. You spun it off of my mind. Thanks, Nick. No, but I think those are the kind of discussions.
We have worked with the Forest Preserve, but the Forest Preserve used to employ Smith Dawson on their own, and for a while they terminated that contract, and Smith Dawson continued to do work basically pro bono because they were working with the county.
We can talk about it.
We can talk about it.
We can talk about this. It's not really a debate, but I'm thinking when we're both paying the same lobbyists to go over some of the same issues, it just doesn't seem very effective. It seems that we should be together. Now, John, you know I mentioned this at the executive meeting once, that at the CD, that we should give this some thought on the CD side.
If I could make a comment?
Yeah.
I agree with that. In fact, you know, we're actually reviewing our own lobbying relationships, our agreements that we have right
Suzanne, you
now.
can go.
I mean, we're going through an analysis right now of this very issue.
Okay.
And no decisions have been made, but I think moving forward, depending on how you go with Smith-Dawson, month to month or whatever, we should have that discussion sooner rather than later, because we need to make a decision for our budget next year.
I would agree. I mean, I do think that we should try to leverage the resources. You know, some people are going to.
You always push my button, Jim.
But I do think that, you know, we got the CD contract coming, consulting contract coming up here today also. We should have almost had a discussion on this and how we maybe wrap that whole thing into our agreement too. Too late now, probably too late now, because I really don't want to put this off, your contract off, but it should be a real discussion. CD should be part of the discussion, because as I mentioned at one of our CD executive meetings, it seemed like, why are we duplicating this efforts? And I do think that's something we really do need to discuss. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
I think one of the things that we also need to take into consideration and slow down a little bit on our decision-making process is Washington's changing. It's changing. The folks that are coming into the power structure, we have no idea who those people are and where their connections are, or even what their agenda is. And I think it would we would be way too early.
I'm a great negotiator. I'm the best negotiator.
You just don't have the right hair, okay? So,
Got the same amount.
yeah, right. But the whole idea is, I think if we're slowing this whole process down, I think that's the best thing we can do. If we want to continue with these guys on a month-to-month, you know, I'm not even sure we need to do that until we need to really get a handle on where our agenda is. And Suzanne and her committee, they work hard at putting together our agenda. You know, having NACO help make those connections, but I agree with Nick that sometimes NACO's agenda as an organization might be different.
Oh, it's different than ours. Oh, absolutely.
And so we have to be pretty guarded and guided on what we're going to be doing in Washington, you know, and preemptive. I think one of the differences that I see between Curry and Associates is down in Springfield is they're in there all the time in the legislature, hearing and knowing what's going on, and they're preemptive in some cases.
That's a total different.
It is. It is a totally different animal, which is why I think their value is probably a little bit higher at this point.
John, I know that you entered into your contract about 3 months ago.
With
Smith-Dawson Animal.
July. We'll be halfway through.
You'll be halfway through
Yeah.
yours. I think we really do need to have a discussion, because I do think we should come together with perhaps an agreement.
Well, and depending on what you decide today, Jim, you know, between now and the end of the contract we have with them, we can certainly work out, you know, maybe a better relation, you know.
We may restructure the deal.
Yeah.
Because you're the best negotiator.
I'm good.
Okay.
Not as good as you.
Okay, so I think that should be part of this overall discussion. So this may take a few months. You just need to come right. You don't need to involve your executive board at this point. Right?
No.
We'll make sure that we have the discussion.
Yeah, and we're talking about it already. I mean, we're.
Well, I know you are. When it was brought up, it was kind of late, like this, actually.
Exactly.
So,
Can I ask a question?
yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
ask a question? And not that you're done. But there's already been a lot of discussion about Smith-Dawson, and you also mentioned about legislators. Now, were you going to move this over to for further discussion? Because
Yeah,
I do feel that we can get more bang for the buck out of Smith Dawson, but we ought to be a little more aggressive and a more proactive. And I also see a separation between NACO, and you all just find that already. But I think there ought to be further discussion, but I think we can get more bang for our buck out of what we're currently paying.
So we'll bring it back to legislative for discussion, even though we may create a working group out of that committee, but you're always part of those working groups, or only because it might be easier to work.
And that's the only time I get a chance to talk anyway, so by the time you up. Thank you.
You know what, I always leave a little time for you, don't I? Okay, all right, so then I'll entertain a motion to remove the Smith Dawson Andrew
So moved.
and go on month to month. Without, well,
I make a motion to Smith and from your annual contract.
you know what, how about this? Instead of that, how about we just move this back over to legislative for further discussion?
I like that.
That's the motion.
I like that. Motion to move it back to legislative. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next we have authorizing renewal of contract with Lois Mayor. Move. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next we have authorizing renewal with Will County for Economic Development, CED. Move. Go ahead, if you have something to say, go ahead.
I guess I'm a little confused. I thought the conversation you were just having with John was that we were gonna work with, they were gonna work with them and our contract with Smith Dawson, so I just thought it went hand in hand.
No, this is actually the Smith Dawson, or the federal consultant contract is not part of this.
Okay.
You know, what they pay for out of their membership fee to Smith Dawson, and our money doesn't go towards it, so it is a separate issue.
Okay.
I don't wanna get them confused.
My only concern is too, and I know this was brought up at prior meetings maybe a year ago, was, I know CED and Johnny doing an amazing job, but I've said this before, I feel that their focus is primarily with Joliet, and I know that there's a lot more things that go on in Joliet, or with Center Point and that, I'm not sure, and this is nothing to you. I don't know if maybe other towns, like we were saying, maybe we're not using Smith Dawson like we should, that, we should be more proactive. I don't know if there's some other towns that should be more proactive with you guys. So it's nothing against you. I just wanted to take a harder look and see, because I don't know how much CED works with, and that's my fault that I need to look into this as well, with Wilmington, with Plainfield, with, and I know you have with Bridgeport. That's my town, that's the first one that comes to my head. So this is not a negative comment by any means. It is just something that I'd like us to take a look at. So it's not to hold off the contract, but I'd like us to all, look at that and look at our time. That's all.
This has been something that's been brought up since our beginning of our participation with the CED. And the CED is a county-wide group that represents everyone and will assist anyone in the county when asked. And they are asked, in many instances, they are asked usually when larger projects or companies are involved. Wilmington's not going to come to them about the new jewel that's going to come. I mean, that's not how it works. But when the electric switch company, whose name I'm forgetting, was moving from Blue Island to Bolingbrook, even though Bolingbrook has its own economic development, they still came to talk about incentives. I do think that the CED, for us, doesn't deal with the small projects. They're probably looking at the larger moves of companies and so forth. Generally speaking, the local economic development of municipalities and cities don't have that same expertise, and then they will come to the CED, and minimally they'll give John a call. Now, recently, CD had a meeting of elected officials, and I don't know if you went and attended that or not. Anyway, but I can tell you that it was held in Frankfurt, so naturally it's a place people like to come. It was held in the new village hall of Frankfurt. It was very well attended, and the majority of folks that were there were from small municipalities, talking about economic development help they needed. I thought it was surprisingly well attended, John, and I think you should have many more of those, and you can continue having them in Frankfurt, since that seems to be a place people like to come. But so I do think that outreach you're talking about, it probably actually hit another plateau this last year. With that, I mean, it's the first one that I'm aware of that you haven't had any.
And I want to emphasize, it was placed, it was not a negative. Yeah. I'm self-employed for other villages in town, you guys know that. But, you know, and I apologize, I didn't make that meeting, but I wanted to emphasize that I feel that it's our role as county board members, because that for us to be that nexus between you, John, and CE and our town. So that's what I want, you know, each one of us to look at and make sure that our towns, our village administrators, and those representing them, that, you know, here is a source, and make sure that.
Well, I think if you would have attended that meeting, you would have seen the range, especially the eastern municipalities really came, because they've had some projects that didn't materialize, and now they're asking how can we move forward. And they did ask for, as a group, they were asking for more of these type of meetings, so I would encourage John, maybe he should have a couple of years. Denise, you were there.
Right.
And I thought it was very worthwhile. And you can see there was a real interest by people around the county. When the eastern folks come, you know, because usually it's tough to get them to come over. They were still in Frankfurt. Did I mention Frankfurt? But you know, I will mention Frankfurt, and it was kind of centrally located, you know, for the east and everybody to come. Everybody can get there in about 35 minutes, no matter where they're coming from or county. Partly because of our highway system, you know. They can.
That was first, John. Remember that?
Yes.
You know,
John, it sounds like you know what, I'm your agent. Huh?
Thank you.
So what's your percentage of that fee?
I'm the best negotiator.
I'm the best negotiator.
You know, I have to echo though what Reagan was saying. You know, it was over a year or so ago when we were having John come to the Economic Development Committee here and having some conversations. I was a little leery of the kind of dollars that we were paying the CED and what we were getting for our bang for our buck. I do have to say, I mean, truly, it was a huge conversation that we were having here. I have to say, since then, I have seen a lot better communication from CED. I think John and his group took to heart the feedback that we were giving them, both privately as one-on-one conversations, as well as in open meetings like this. And I one hope that we can continue in that process. I agree with Jim. We might even want to take a look at a traveling show. Frankfurt's nice. Naperville's got a lot of people up that way. Right. So
Glenn's got a lot of business.
So I think you're getting some invites here, John. You might want to start taking people up on it.
It was inconvenient to get to.
For Frankfurt only.
Yeah, 350.
All right, so we got some arm wrestling to do. But yeah, I do think that you've done a really nice job over the last 12 months here to really start to open the world up and communicate with us. So thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Jim?
Yes, sir.
If we go back to the Smith-Dawson agreement, I mean, if we want to go month to month, I think there needs to be some authority to do so. So take a motion, we have at least for the short term, we could go month to month.
Yeah.
The auditor's always going to have to say invoices. They're going to need to be able to track some.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion that we continue with Smith-Dawson Alonso on a month-to-month basis. Motion second. Under the current terms. The motion is second, all in favor? Aye. So you know, so you just prepare a resolution for both. Okay. For the county board. Okay. Okay.
Oh, you want me to make it?
Go back to the top.
Have we gone through Lois Mayors?
Yes. Okay, so next we have approval of minutes of the executive committee meeting from October 6th. Second, all, any additions or corrections? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Executive session for executive committee, October 6th. Second. Second, any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Executive committee, October 13th.
Second.
2016, these are yes. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, is there any other old business bring forward today? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Authorizing the county executive to bind insurance coverage and execute contracts for the property and casualty, auto, general liability, excess workman's compensation, loss control, and other risk management related services. Mr. Tidwell.
That's quite a title.
Yeah. We just want the bottom line. How much more do we have to pay?
Actually, we're saving.
Do we have better coverage?
We're going to have better coverage, and we're going to spend
Cost
less
us
money.
less.
So,
That's always
and
good.
when we show history, there's a handout coming out year over year what the total cost has moved to since we've been with Metro.
I just like
So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Mike from Mesro, just to walk you through real quickly the highlights. I mean, it's not gonna take a lot of time, but just hit on some of the areas that are gonna be important for the county.
Here's the summary here.
It's a one-page spreadsheet as well.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board. If I may just run through some quick changes, and then I'll get to the very exciting part. So with the property that renews in July of each year, your values went up less than 1%, and your premium actually dropped, which you'll see in a few minutes. Crime coverage remains the same at $500,000 and a $25,000 deductible. We did take your program out to market this year to test the market. We went to 10 different carriers. Your incumbent came back extremely competitive. We did get an indication from a company called Old Republic. They were very close to Safety National, but because all of our other coverages, including the workers' compensation, were with Safety National, if we pulled the casualty away from Safety National, the work comp would have went up. So the Costco wholesale price would not have worked for Old Republic. And we did get an indication from Brit, they were a little high. The other 7 markets had issues with the nursing homes. They're still very uncomfortable with them, which is understandable. But we have Safety National. One other change with the Safety National program, why they dropped so significantly, is Safety National started writing the professional lines of coverage, which are your law enforcement, public officials, and employment practice. The form's excellent. I know that because I helped them write it, which is very similar to the professional liability forms that you had last year. Other changes, why I handed this out, you were all awarded a thicker volume, but in the last week I received some changes from the Will County Stabilization Group. They had sold some properties, so the premium went down, and wanted to reflect as up-to-date of a change as I could get. Also, the Will County PBC sent me an updated budget, which significantly reduced their exposure and dropped their premium about $18,000. Other changes, your workers' compensation Payrolls increased about 3% this year. Overall, your premium has decreased from 365 to 357, which is about 2%. So things are going extremely well with the county on the liability side and on the workers' compensation side. The HR department instituted that preferred provider program a number of years ago on the workers' compensation, and it's saving thousands and thousands of dollars. So knock on wood, things are going great.
Yeah, we just did a review of that with all of our department coordinators last week or 2 weeks ago. And it really is showing that this PPP is saving a lot on our work comp.
What it's doing is it's reducing the overusage of doctors and the overtreatment, which then is going to shrink your costs. And without this, your costs just run away. So in summary, if you'd like to turn to this page, your total costs are going down from $1,659,923 to $1,432,130. Savings of $227,793, or roughly about 13.72%. So I couldn't be more happy with the decrease in your premium this year. The staff worked extremely hard to get
This is good news. Yes, specifically the good news to me is we've struggled to work this comp for such a long time. To see it kind of even stabilize, let alone go down a little bit, is very encouraging.
And
so the programs we've been instituting over a number of years seem to finally be taking hold.
Yes, sir.
So that's very encouraging.
And it's very encouraging that the new administration has been very open to our professionals to come in and assess risk and so forth. So that's another area that we're really, really pleased with.
And the only other question, Mike, I would have for you on the auto liability side, of course, we significantly updated our rolling stock, specifically in the sheriff's department. With how many new vehicles we got?
66 and now 35.
So we're going to have almost 100 new vehicles in. Is it reflected that, do we have replacement cost or just the actual salvage cost on our auto?
We get actual cash value on the autos above 100,000.
Okay, so is it reflecting this new, I'm just wondering if we're reflecting all the new vehicles that are coming.
Every vehicle that's purchased is reported.
Okay.
Absolutely, and goes on the logs.
I have a summary in here, Mr. Chairman. It's in
I'll look at the summary.
Thick book, but it does show your auto count went up, but you know there's additions and deletions. But exactly to your point, your values went up 11.3%, while the count only went up 3.88%. So I have all your exposures broken out, and then claims behind.
Okay, very good. All right, Mike.
Yeah, I have a question about the Public Building Commission number.
Yes, sir.
What changed that would increase it that much?
What changed is that from what Mr. Mikan had advised me is that all the work on the new jail, is that correct? Not
actually,
jail,
all the employees were shifted over to the county.
Yeah, right. So everything.
So they're not paying the workman's comp that comes over here.
Correct.
But overall,
they only have like 1.5 employees. Right?
And when they shift, and when the properties are perhaps transferred over, that goes off the books in the public.
But it should come on.
It does come on somewhere else. It does come on.
Comes on.
Right. Okay.
So the projects moved over to Will County, so their budget dropped from $7 million to roughly about $500,000.
Right. So it's not really that decrease that we're seeing. It's got to be somewhere. I mean, there's still probably a decrease, but
our workman's comp rate is probably better than ours. When you look at the overall number.
Right.
they're showing an increase of population. But again, the workman's comp cost went down slightly.
Yes, sir.
Hey, John, remember this about workman's comp, they'll audit it during the year.
Yes.
And they'll adjust according to your payroll hours.
Absolutely, and we do have to report our payroll.
So there's adjustments to workman's comp.
And just the climate in Illinois is still not good. You know, they're trying to get some things. We're taking advantage of all the low-hanging fruit that the reforms have allowed us.
Believe me, it was always one of my dreaded things when I was in business. What's the new assessment going to be?
Right.
So there is some changes during the year, depending on your work hours primarily, right?
Correct. Not to, we don't have to pay additional premium, but what happens is when we report the payroll, then that gets.
You pay the additional hours if they're there.
Correct.
Yeah. Because you have more exposure, it was covered.
Yeah.
So, okay, so any other questions?
We need a motion.
We just need a motion to approve the liability.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
There's a second topic that I wanted to bring up and discuss for the committee. Mike discussed this last month when he was here about our cyber security liability. And currently for our property program, we have $2 million in coverage. And he had recommended to us that we move it up to $5 million for first-party liability. And so this second sheet that he has actually gives some options, and I'll let him talk about the differences in what they are and the suggestions possibly that the board wants to take.
Yes, thank you. So I had attached this out. Apologize, this is somewhat of a confusing topic. It took me about a day to try to put this together and make it as easy as possible. As Bruce mentioned, you currently have $2 million worth of cyber and security coverage, and that coverage is coming from your property insurance policy. That policy is a master program called Alliant Property Insurance Program. It's a multi-billion, it's the largest property placement in the world. Within that program, they have side coverages for environmental if you wanted it, cyber, and a couple other things. So we're taking advantage of the cyber. And you know, I use that Costco pricing. So for your first $2 million, you are only paying $1,670 for your cyber, privacy, and security coverage. If we bought that on the open market for a county your size, that is probably $40,000, $50,000 just for that first $2 million. So in discussions over the last few months, it's probably in the best interest of the county to increase from 2 to 5 million. So we need to buy another $3 million. Unfortunately, the program for your property limits your limit at 2 million. So I would have to buy that separately from the same company on the open market. And in order to do that, the additional premium to bring it from 2 to 5, if you look at option 1, is $42,921.
Well, let me ask this.
Sure.
In general, I don't think that we all have a understanding exactly what the exposure is. I mean, the exposure is our employees' information, which is an example. We've got, but we also, the exposure of taking credit cards, exposures that may come out of the sheriff's department, taking confidential information. I'm asking, are these all?
Yes, sir.
They are all exposures.
These are all exposures.
Real estate systems.
So you know what I would like to do is I'd like you to do, and I think we need to move forward, but I think what you need to do is a good analysis for us to show us where all the exposure is and how exposed we might be and what maybe potential claims are in these areas. I think that will give us some more, and we may say, well, maybe we need 8 million. Whatever, I don't know, based on exposure and based on remedies to when there is a problem. So, or if there is a problem. Now, it seems to me everybody in the world, anybody can get hacked, right?
Yes.
So I put nothing on my computer, hack away. You know, I don't have even email. I mean, but anyway, at any rate, I do think that it would be more helpful, even if we left a spot for this, where you can maybe explain the exposures, even at the county board meeting. Let's just say we'll put it on the agenda, or we could wait another month, which would probably be like.
I would prefer to wait another month, and that way
And we'll
there's
just place
proper
that
time
separately.
to do a true risk exposure
Do this in
analysis.
executive session.
And it would probably, well, I would ask the state's attorney whether it was an executive session
Yes.
item, since we were going to talk about where
Technically, once it's on your agenda, that purpose today, you probably shouldn't do it, set it off for next month anyway.
Okay, so why don't we do, we'll do that coverage next month, Michael?
Sure.
And then we'll do that in executive session, and.
There's only one meeting next month, right? It's the second one.
December 8th. Because of the summer again, you won't have one on the first.
Oh, yeah. You know what, I could always have a special meeting if I had to later in the month. So why don't we set a date for a special meeting? Which would be maybe, I was actually saying we weren't going to do anything after the 15th. And we could get a holiday break. All right, what if we waited till January? Is it going to make, we'll bring it forward in January.
Sure.
That'll give you a good time, because you may really have to sit down and really think about exposure.
So go ahead.
If I may, the best way to do a cyber assessment is to bring in an outside cyber auditor to come in. They're going to get their hands dirty, roll up their sleeves, and look at your exposures. I don't really have an estimated cost. I can make some calls and give some ideas.
Why don't we do that? I hate to spend a lot of money on this.
Correct.
We don't have anybody in-house that does these types of things like it?
Well, I could look with our,
Can you look within
being with
your own
Alliance,
company?
I could look in that and
You must
do
use
that.
you must use somebody.
Yeah.
Method management, maybe, have somebody that took risks.
Yeah, not for cyber. There's a couple firms out there.
Why don't you
that-
look and see, because obviously, your firm must do this for clients.
Would the cost of this come out of tort?
Yeah, I think it'd come out of the insurance.
The key is what they're looking for, the carriers are looking for, is the number of records that you do keep, number of employees, number of inmates, things like that, your number of people in your communities.
What about the number of systems
Yes.
that we have?
Yes,
Because that
absolutely.
means-
How they talk to each other. They're going to look at your treasury systems, things like that.
And the other thing is it's come up, despite what you may think, this is not about an individual.
No.
The whole issue of third parties having to carry cyber insurance when they work for Will County, I'm in favor of it, but we need a good uniform system.
Right.
This can't just pertain to the county board or to the executive branch.
It needs to be
And the
across the
insurance
board.
program, I think we can impose it as part of the insurance program across the board on all offices, Bill, as part of the insurance program, that we require third parties in certain areas to carry cyber insurance also. They're consultants that are doing work for us. We can have that discussion, but I do think that since the county board does the insurance program, I would almost like to see it's a requirement of the insurance program across the board for everybody, done fairly and uniformly, because then that also brings down our costs and our exposure.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's somebody else is helping us assume the risk. So I mean, I think that should be part of this discussion too, so, so maybe it's a good thing we're waiting until January. I think we should probably need to talk to the state's attorney's office a little bit about how we make this a requirement of the insurance program for all vendors, regardless of what office is hiring. So we need to have many of those discussions. We may not get this done in February, because I'm making it more complicated, but
It is.
but I want to make it
The more you get into
comprehensive.
it,
I want to make it comprehensive,
Right.
is what it is.
Yeah, and we do want to
And
do it right.
uniform.
And I just wanted to mention, Jim, and I have copies of spread around, but I can get copies. Alliant Mesro put together this manual, and it's an insurance requirements and contracts procedural manual, and it breaks out all of the language that is suggested for different types of contracts, whether it's IT technology or aviation or landfill, all that kind of stuff. So
Any outside vendor that comes in our IT, we basically expose 100%.
I would think so.
Right, so, so, you got your hand up there, David?
I just wanted to know that if the current coverage is in the aggregate or per occurrence.
It's a 2 million per aggregate.
So that's the limit, no matter how many claims, I mean, no matter what.
On the cyber side you're talking about.
On the
Cyber, yes, cyber.
Well, you know what? We're gonna go, well, we know that's there, that's for our liability.
I just thought you meant about it. It's okay, you don't have to.
But if you don't know for sure, bring it back next time we talk. This is good, this is gonna create some coordination. And, Melissa, since this involves budget dollars.
It's 2 million aggregate, 2 million per occurrence, but it does limit the notification to $1 million. And that's the expensive part.
So I have some friends that work at Mayor Brown, and they're heading up a task force, a cybersecurity task force, working with Washington, because this is just going, everybody's going in different directions, and it's just blowing out more and more.
You should also keep a listen in the budget.
I will definitely do that.
It's budget related and of course,
The more I research and read about it, the deeper it
So why don't we
gets.
just, we're gonna move forward with this. We're not gonna do the cyber now. And,
But I do have a question, Chair. So how does this impact the other elected branches within Will County? I mean, is this covering them as well? With them having all their own individual systems? And how does
Yes.
that impact?
Covers the whole county.
So, and I think we could have this discussion as we get into what our exposure is. That would definitely be one of those things.
okay, so we're gonna take a really good comprehensive look at this.
Okay.
Okay? And then we'll know, rather than saying, oh, we think it's a good idea to take more coverage, let's see what the story is.
Right, so the circuit court's under the court, so that's a state agency, so that office is.
Well, we'll still talk to the chief judge and, about, see what they're doing. And, doesn't mean we can't include them, by the way, because they should know what their exposures are also.
Oh, I agree.
And I'm sure the chief judge will agree.
Yes. I'll talk to the board administrator about it.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Congrats on the decrease.
Thanksgiving,
Yes,
everybody.
thank you. Thanks for the good work. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you. Surprise.
Yeah.
I'll let you leave. Going down to your place.
I'll come back.
Going down to your
I'm
place. I thought maybe you're going to your place in Jamaica or something.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, next we have court security and sheriff fee study. You know, basically wanted to get some feedback from the Chief Judge Rogers is here. And then we can talk about what we might want to go forward with. Now, the fee related to Okay, so this will be the fee related to court security.
Correct. Based on my conversations with the chief judge as recently as last week, And he apologizes for not being here, he's actually out of state right now. The chief judge is not inclined at this point to agree to increase the fee for all the reasons that I said previously when we talked about the fees across the board, and the Supreme Court's concerned about the fees. In addition, the chief judge is concerned about a couple of the fees that are directly related to the courts being too low at this point and may need to be raised, and that's another discussion for another day. But based on that, I think it's, at this point, he's not inclined to increase the fee.
So related to that fee, since the chief judge does have to oppose it, it's his discretion whether he applies it or not. I don't see a reason to move forward with that fee.
No, I think we need more discussions with Chief Judge.
Yeah, and that's fine. The chief judge is more than happy to discuss it further.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so the other fees were related to serving and so forth. We did get the private sector costs. And those fees, I think, are too low, since it's almost, it's a service function that we provide, and we should provide, I think, something as opposed to the market. So, so you got a recommendation on here on the other fees?
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning. Morning.
This is Lieutenant Brian Conzer. He's in charge of our Civil Process Division after Lieutenant Doris Jordan retired, so I apologize for not having these in the packet, but we've been working on them all week. Last month you asked me to come back because there was a discrepancy on your reference to $10. What it was the statutory fee that we actually placed on here. It wasn't actually the current fee that we're charging. So I'll let Lieutenant Conzer take over from here.
Okay. Hit your button there.
Sorry.
There you go.
All right. On these fees, the last study was done 13 years ago, 2003. They were increased by resolution 03439, the current rates. When you look at the cost study, it has the current fees we're charging in the first column. That would be the first package, first page of the first packet this year. Then the study, the actual costs of what it costs for these fees. And then the third column would be the proposed fees. And then the final column would be how much of an increase or decrease. Actually, a decrease is noted in two of the fees.
See what you gave us before about anything change that?
It is the numbers changed in the beginning. What I accidentally did in the fiscal year 2016 fees, I put the statutory fees in there, that the minimum, and not the actual fees we were charging. Also on page 4, there's also ADF fees. The study was done on for taking a bail when the inmates have a nurse or doctors visit and escorting an inmate outside for jail dental. You should see two of the fees we are not currently charging for, but statutorily we can.
Question on the doctor, if the inmate has insurance, outside insurance, while they're in, can they use that as part of this, right? I mean, we've been having that, I've been trying to have that discussion for years.
I believe that they signed them up for Obamacare. They are on our facility.
Okay, so they would be covered, so therefore we should be able to collect that expense.
Well, we can submit it to insurance. Right. They don't have insurance, it's going nowhere because they wouldn't be sitting
Well,
on
we do take money out of commissary if we want to the commissary. If they do bond out, we put it on the commissary, so if they do come back, whatever money that they have when they're booked in, that goes on the commissary, does come out.
If they come back,
yes.
You retain that?
We retain the bill. Same if
So,
there's any-
no
They have to
candy,
go back.
no candy bars for them.
same if there's any damage to any clothing or anything else like that.
Okay.
You know, briefly, you know, looking through here and looking at the increases, and we look at, I would pretty much concur with your recommendations, aren't you? I was gonna throw that out.
Currently, if you were to come to our window to have civil process served, that would be the next packet. This is what we would give a customer at the window. These are how much the fees are. We've also included on the second page the proposed fees. And on the bottom line, it shows the increase. These fees, like civil warrant, judgment execution, pleb and mechanic liens, can only be done by the sheriff's office. Civil process can be done by private servers as well.
We should try to make as much of our cost back.
I was with that.
Effectively reduced.
Great.
I know, I spoke to the chief judge, I know you've been talking to him about this. We've had some conversations, unfortunately he couldn't be here. He wanted to be a part of this conversation, just asked if we could hold it over and he could. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about process, we're talking about the serving fees. Because you sent me the private sector fees.
Yeah, I did last.
Yeah.
Say that now.
I'm good with, I'm kind of good with numbers, but I got too many right now. So, where in general do we stand versus the private?
The final page, I made some bar graphs that indicated what our fees are with the proposed fees currently. That would be page 1. The second page, they also charge a rush or fee to expedite a service, typically have it served within 24 to 48 hours. That's an additional fee. I've added that fee to the second page, which shows basically we're in line with what private process servers are currently charging.
So we're not undercutting the private sector, we're just basically.
We're in line.
We're in line. We might be a little bit more, huh?
Well, you're suggesting to cut the fees where we didn't spend as much.
Correct.
Which I think is appropriate.
Appreciate your hard work on this. Should we
I
make a motion to accept?
I think we're good, so we're gonna move the processing fees forward. We're not going to take the support security forward, so we have further discussions with the chief
Have
judge.
we had a public hearing on this? I don't
We will have a,
recall.
we
There was a public
will
hearing
have
in
a,
finance?
No.
Okay.
can we have a public hearing? What's the notification, what's the notification,
It's too
how many
late.
days?
The county board.
It's too late for county.
Okay. So then we can still have a public hearing at the at the county board, and then we will put on the,
They're saying
Do
it's
it
too
in
late.
December.
that's what I'm saying. We will have a public hearing, oh no, it's too late.
Too late
We'll have
for
to,
November.
we'll have a public hearing at the first executive meeting.
Okay. In December?
In
For
December.
January? We're only doing one meeting in
I
December.
understand.
You want it on December 8th then? We'll do
Yeah.
the public hearing?
Yeah, I'm sure they try to keep the last part of the month pretty clear, let people enjoy their holiday as much as we can.
Okay.
So, Mike will probably want to go down and hang out in Florida for a month or so.
I'd like to go hang out.
Next
Thursday. Yeah, I'd like to hang out.
So, and then we'll have the public hearing, and then we'll put it on the.
Move it to the full board in December.
In December, okay? All right, okay. Because don't forget, our meeting is December 15th, so we're pretty. Anything else you'd like to say?
Have a good
Okay, number 3, number of part-time employees requested, this is I kind of requested this, it's like, I think I already got the answer, so,
There's a sheet in the.
yeah, we already got the answer last time, actually, so, okay. You know, I would actually like to put out there, is Bruce Tidwell still here? He ran out. You know, I'd like to see, you know, what's the purpose of having employees that work under 600 hours for anybody? So what are their functions? What could they possibly could be contributing 12 hours a week? I'm just curious, on average. Or are they people that come in, who maybe work a 20, 30-hour week, and then we might not use them again for another month? I mean, huh? It's just below regular
I
part-time.
can't speak for everybody, but we have a few interns, and then we have over at Records Management, I know there's a few folks that just do project-based work. That it wouldn't be a full-time job, so rather than...
Wouldn't be a regular part-time job either, though. I mean,
it's seasonal. I mean, there's seasonal,
okay. Regular seasonal. Okay, which makes sense if they're seasonal. I'm just curious how they're utilized, that's all. Now, they will have more flexibility now that we've gone to 1,000 hour, to work people up to 950 hours or something.
You have paid internships?
Well, we have the IRS, I do
just
pay
a
them.
couple areas, but not too much.
So, well, you know, Nick, it's not that I think there's a lot of them in the, I'm just, I mean, I don't know if you have any in the executive branch, but I'm just curious how they're used. I mean, it makes sense in some instances if they're basically seasonal employees. Of course, no, but I was just saying that employees that we have that are under 600 hours, I was just curious exactly how are they utilized within accounting? I mean, are they people who work occasionally, they're seasonal?
Right, so there's all different kinds. It depends on the elected official, you know, the work that has to be done. So we do have some seasonal employees in some departments that only come and work like election season, as an example. We get summer interns at different departments. River Valley has some of these intern programs, health department does. So this report that Rashawn provided, it doesn't tell the department, it gives the benefit group, but I can, you know,
The other thing I would ask them is, so they're not classified as part-time employees?
Yes, they are.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Part-time employees, and I realize they gotta pay a much larger portion of the premium.
Yes.
But part-time employees are eligible for health care.
Yes, they are.
Now, they pay a prorated amount.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit, but nevertheless, as we all know, you know, if somebody comes in and does that, especially if they already have a condition, you know, it could really impact. So I'm wondering, you know, of course, by law, you have to provide health insurance under 30 hours.
Over 30 hours.
Over
30 or more. Yes. So we do a look back. Yeah.
But we could then set a policy that people who, for example, work 20 hours or more, or part of IMRF are eligible for insurance.
Not if they're in one of the unions.
Well, that's something we can negotiate.
It would have to be negotiated.
So, how many seasonal employees would we have that are represented by the union?
Seasonal, no. But we have a
I'd
lot
like
of
to see how many
part-time
employees do we have that work under 1,000 hours that are in the union?
Sunny Hill.
Well, you know, I think that potentially that's an exposure, or, you know, we can talk about it later. I mean, I'm not looking to change, I'm just looking to get information right now.
Right, and I can just make a comment on the Sunny Hill one, is in the dietary and our RNs, we use a lot of part-timers, because with the RNs, we get ones that want to work the weekends and they can just work Saturday and Sunday because they have a full-time job at a hospital. And so, you know, and then the dietary, they're very low paid and the shifts are shortened. And so to fill in for people who get a lot of time off, benefits or work comp or whatever, FMLA, to get these part-timers in to fill in. So their salaries are fairly low. They're at the very low end of the pay scale. So to actually pay, they wouldn't have enough in their paycheck.
I understand that, but I guess Potentially, but you know what, if something happened, you know, and we don't, so I'm just saying that I think we should probably take a look at the relationship of casual employees and benefit levels and the eligibility. Now, that's something, it's probably something we have to discuss also with our unions, but I don't think they would necessarily, I mean, I think they would understand that that potentially drives cost for a few and gives, it should be a cost to everybody. Just thoughts about things we maybe have to discuss, okay?
Absolutely.
And you may want to go through and just see what you see as potential issues.
And we do that exercise actually when we go through our renewals with Ann, and we look at what our part-time group of people are and who has insurance or how many do, and we can dive deeper into that for you to get you some more data.
Yeah.
And some of the reasons, because it's sometimes you think this would mean that, but then you're not taking these other things into consideration that we have to look at. Like union is one, but and low pay is another covering it. So absolutely.
1028 category.
1028 is the union local.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think, something I think we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, for, you know, we have about 2,300 employees total, and out of that, there's 179 that are classified as part-time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. Now we'll try to move this along. Discussion of the 2017 budget regarding RTA funds. Mike, you want to take this, or Alyssa? Number 4. Or Karen, or whoever.
We had talked about.
This is about this is how much we're going to take out of here.
But we brought to your attention the amount of proceeds that we put toward the bonds. I don't think you were aware of.
Right, so we're not gonna touch the OTA for cash. Because we had to take more for debt service, because the other funds haven't started yet.
And when we approved the bonds as well, so.
Get your recommendation from our staff who deals with the budget and the county budget department concur that because of the amount of money that's dedicated to the debt service for RTA, that to be no additional cash should come out for this year to pay for any of the bills. For this year. 2018, but not this year. Right? Is that where we're all at?
Yeah.
All right, that was discussion of hiring facilities management personnel. Well, David, Nick, also, but we talked about bringing on, start to look at, Bruce Tidwell around again? Bruce, you might want to come up and have this discussion with us. So we're talking about bringing on facility management personnel to manage not only our new buildings that will be coming online, but all our buildings. We talked about starting this process sooner than later. Maybe actually having somebody, at least the main person on board while we start the courthouse. But we were going to include the Laraway facility and do some of the things that are necessary for facility management there, correct? So there was some updating that needed to be done. There's additional work that would need to be done to get the state-of-the-art kind of program. Are we working on that, David?
We have a job description that has been drafted. It's been reviewed by several parties. I feel that it's covers the bases that we need to for this type of position and for the direction that this board and the executive's office is looking to proceed with. It's a good starting point, and I think that we should proceed with the, but I also would like to mention too that in researching the salaries for this position, this is the industry average. I mean, this is a six-figure position.
We understand.
Okay.
We put it in the budget.
Okay, so
I know this is a highly skilled person. This is not a light bulb change. We Yeah.
No, it's not just a building engineer.
Which is,
Can we decide what the name is? Because we have
We-
stationary maintenance.
oh, this means facility
Facility
management.
management director.
All right, stationary engineer is the next word.
So we need, yeah.
This is more of a strategic over.
Okay, so you have the job description. I would put it out there. I think that's, we need to talk about the process. I mean, this is a position that would come out of the executive branch of government. But I think we'd like to maybe participate, and at least a few of us participate in the selection of a person. So what I would recommend is to get on the street, maybe get down to whatever 3 people you like, and, you know, and whatever, you can sit down with them, maybe even kind of I don't want to call it an interview process, but a process to get to see maybe we can get some recommendations. But it will be a position that will be created in the executive branch. Even though that money's in our budget.
Yes.
But for this, so it would be budgeted out of the county board budget for now.
We can do a transfer when that person is hired, however they want to do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait to see how much money the county executive has left in budget to that. That's how we do it with everybody. We'll make him use all his money up first, right? Okay. Okay, let's get started, because I do think it's a crucial.
Yes.
Maybe we get somebody hired, what do you think, in March kind of area?
February, March, yeah.
Okay, all
We're
right.
hoping the latest by April, so that's great.
Yeah.
Let's move. Yeah.
And if I might add just one thing, recently via the Capital Committee, we have discussed in tandem with this, the possibility and the desire to go to a computerized building maintenance management system.
That's another thing we have to do. There's a number of programs out there, you know.
And
But
so,
I think this company, or
This person
This person should help us with
be able to
that.
look at it.
so with the direction of this committee or the board, I think that it does make sense. I think we agree with that, and that person should have the hand in, right,
Yeah.
in deciding what will be the best selection.
You know what, though, in the meantime, though, Dave, if you have time, you know, and maybe you talk to RT. Maybe even RT, you know, Shay can help you a little bit with this or whatever. Let's see what's out there. Yeah, I mean, there's a number, everybody tells you they got the best, but, you know, I know Gilbane has systems they sell, but, you know, there's all kinds of systems out there. And maybe you want to just take a look at which ones seem to be, you know, this may cut some time when we do bring somebody on that we've done some preliminary work. And Nick, I would also like to sit down with the county executive and Dave and you, and maybe talk about that organizational chart that you would envision as we reorganize how our maintenance is done. I think it's important that we have something in place that kind of shows that organizational chart. And then I do think, Bruce, that we need to also talk about not only qualifications for like a facility management person, we need to have, I think, good job descriptions and qualifications going forward on what skills maintenance people have. And Nick and Bruce, I think you should reclassify different levels of maintenance people. I mean, you know, there's a difference between somebody who does maybe light maintenance and somebody who can go into an electrical panel and fix it. You know, so I think you just need to, we need to do that. We need to do that together cooperatively. So you don't want me just doing it.
No, Jim, we know that should be done, and we knew that bringing over the PVC employees would be the perfect opportunity to assess, start the process, assess what the skills are of those individuals and the jobs that they do and how that would integrate with the overall reorganization. So that's certainly on the chart to work, because we always do put, with just job descriptions in general now, we've redesigned our requirements on there that, you know, we have to have minimum requirements for the job, whether it's education or certification or what have you, experience. We've got canned language on equal employment and ADA and structuring the functional, essential functions. So we have done that piece, and now we can, as part of this,
Okay, and I'd like to see some of that. I mean, we need to go over that. I think the county board and you know, this committee is the personnel committee, and we do have the responsibility for policies within the executive branch of government as far as employees. I think that's why I'd like to see something more come forward as far as the qualifications and job descriptions that we can sign off on. You know, so it's not something that, in my opinion, is internal to the executive office. This is the policy setting group for the executive branch of government.
Are you,
when it comes to personnel?
Any quick questions for the facility manager director that you're looking at? Are you including in their job description and or requirements something about their technology capabilities, ability to do that software? I was talking about that's because a lot of people have good management skills, but maybe not the technical skills that we might need.
We're not looking for a gap.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But having that spelled out as we're going forward, I think is okay.
What kind of an employee would this person be? I mean, how would you categorize this employee?
They wouldn't be wearing a uniform. It would be a senior management position that oversees like facility, you know, maintenance directors or managers. It's more of a strategic overall planning, and it's part of the software.
If we wearing night suits like Jay?
Well, it depends on how much we have left in the budget.
Okay.
They bought that suit when he was the private. So, okay, so, you know, I think there's a couple of big things there. Bruce, and I would like you to give regular updates, not to the city committee, but you can even give it to like Bruce or whatever. I'd like to know where we're at and where you might be at as far as moving some of these things along. So, all right? Okay, thank you. Okay.
Number 11, Jim.
11, authorizing contract with Robert Crown Health Center for JAG work. Somebody's been moved, second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next we have an authorizing rule of contract with Baxter and Woodman Inc. Move, second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Awarding bid for office cleaning in various Will County office buildings. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Bid for gasoline and diesel fuel.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion
Then what was
carries.
just opened this morning, Jim, I don't know if you want me to give you an update on it, because we always cut it close so that we can get the best.
Well, sure, we get gas. We get gas for 99 cents. 89 cents.
I would go home.
Yes, it's cheaper.
2001, I thought it used to work. It's terrible. It's only 99 cents a gallon. Yeah, that's true.
I only printed a couple, so.
Yes, we did open this bid this morning. We had 4 bids this year, which is relatively high for the fuel bid. We are asking for award to go to one single bidder, Petroleum Traders. They were the lowest for both 89 octane, which we jumped from 87 to 89 this year because of the new vehicles, and the diesel fuel. So we're going to be paying 1.9584 for the octane and 1.8601 for diesel.
Okay, good.
A very good price, I think.
Okay. All right. We already approved it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 15, awarding bid for elevator maintenance, various county offices. Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Extension of term of board of review. Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Walgreens pharmacy lease termination agreement.
So moved.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Amendment to the memorandum of understanding with IDOT, Joliet Center Point Properties for Hobo Bridge.
Move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Proclamations, Chuck.
We will be honoring the outgoing elected officials.
Right.
Lobbist College is coming to present a certificate of appreciation. I believe it's their 75th anniversary. I can't remember for sure what year it is.
Bonzi is in Will County, a small site.
There is a
Okay,
small
right up by
portion,
us.
yes. And then Don Gould has Manuka Junior High Girls Cross Country State Championship.
For the outgoing, who present those?
The county board members, usually it's the caucus chairs, so
You guys go down.
together.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have county appointments.
Move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Hold on 1 second. So I need to save a space on the county board agenda for a resolution approving the candidates to IDOT for the county engineer. This would be the resolution sending it down to the IDOT to approve for the candidates. Well, we're going to go through, we'll select get those
Need a
candidates.
motion for that?
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
And this was just something for me. Nick, I understand that the private security company will be finishing up at the end of the month. You want to just give us an update, what's going on with security in this building? That just pertains to
Yeah,
this building,
the
correct?
county board already approved new contracts with the Permar for the other buildings, but for this building, we've worked with the sheriff's department, and they will be providing an armed deputy in this building. Going for the next fiscal year, we would like to work with the board and look at some other potential structural changes downstairs or other enhancements. We're doing some smaller things within offices, trying to roll out an ID program so people know who our employees, who are guests. But we will have an armed deputy down on the first floor. So, and they will be available for other meetings too as needed.
So that's my question. So for like land use meeting, I mean for PCC, the meetings, they will cover that.
And an email just went out this morning, I'm sorry I didn't bring it with me with the details, but we will have a schedule for the regular meetings. If there's a special meeting, we just have to have enough notice to arrange for it, but we will have coverage.
Take Stan to lunch before he leaves.
We're doing a little party for him.
Good.
Yeah.
So he was
He's a retired police officer, and he's been very good. So.
He's been really good, okay, does anybody have any questions about that? And that's not effective December 1st.
Right. The contract ends for Permar, and
we have the executive's budget for security.
the sheriff's office has been very cooperative, and we've worked it out. I believe they're using part-time deputies, so it's worked out. And they'll have a whole schedule for those folks, so.
Well, that's good. So, that's even more interesting. So we're going to use part-time folks, deputies, sworn officers. That makes them more efficient for us.
Right.
Yeah.
The cost differential wasn't too bad, so.
No, we can go over that.
We can talk in detail.
Okay, doing good. Okay, is there anything else? Oh, yes. Is there any comments by the public? Okay, is there any comments by county board members? Yeah. Committee reports. I'm looking to get out of here. We'll start with you.
Land use, we had 2 zoning cases and 1 historic landmark.
On the draft agenda, we don't show anything, so I need to save space for those on our...
So make a motion to do that?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That'll be on your 15th, or your meeting next week? Okay.
Okay. All right. Can you tell them when I get out of here? Okay, so, finance, Mike?
Yeah, the other things, we'll be doing the annual budget appropriation ordinance. All of the levies will come up for approval. The public court discretionary grant we're getting, the software purchase for record maintenance software that we'll be approving. We'll be increasing some appropriations to the vehicle fund budget, transferring some money in the county health center budget, transferring funds within the 2016 budget, and we will authorize an executive to deal with the tax.
Okay, any questions for Mike? Public Works, Donnie Henry, anything on Public Works? Routine, okay. Any questions on Public Works? So we move on to Ritual.
There's nothing else.
Nothing. Public Health?
Just my regular awards, bidding award, contracts, that kind of stuff, and we just had a update on the heroin thing from the Anastasia came and talked about it, and the doctor, she came along, and then the coroner came in and just gave a good discussion of all the different things that happened during Public Health and Safety Act. But that was it.
We got parties coming up down there in that nursing home?
Lots of parties coming up. We missed the last week they had in a barbecue and craft sale.
They sold out the barn?
Did they?
And I didn't even make it.
Can't beat the price, $5.
I was there.
$5.
I was there. Tom's a true senior. He don't pay us on $5.
I wanted to be
Okay. Don, did you have anything on Public Works you want to mention?
I just wanted to mention that for those of you who are involved with the freight study and so forth, paying attention to that, IDOT is going to award $750,000 to the county.
Yeah, I see, that was super.
And thank you, Nick.
Yeah,
appreciate your help on all that. Come on up for a second.
Yeah, you should have been, yeah. And I actually had to call and say, am I reading this right? We're getting $750,000.
$7.50.
That's 75%, that's really large, because that's 75% of our cost, approximately.
And that's got from IDOT and CMAP.
Well, we met with CMAP also. Unfortunately, just the cycle of their funding, it wouldn't be available to help with this study. So they directed us to IDOT. We had sent letters, we talked to the committee, sending letters to IDOT and CMAP came back, or I'm sorry, IDOT came back and had some funding available. So we actually thought we were going to be more like 500,000, and they said they could do up to 750. So that's a significant portion of the project cost.
So how does that work, Nick? Now
it's a refundable reimbursement grant.
So if we spend it, they'll reimburse us.
Right, and some of the stuff we've already spent, we may not be able to recoup, but it's close to $1 million project, so this is significant. And they and CMAP have been very involved thus far. And we just had a couple of preliminary meetings on data and what information is available, but I believe that they're making this a priority both at the state and at CMAP. So we're hoping that this is going to be a very, whether we get in, because they did move up the grant funding for the fast lane, but this is going to be a good effort regardless for future funding and just for us to determine some course of action going forward. So.
And I think it is a recognition, especially by CMAP, this is truly a regional issue. It's not.
And CMAP and IDOT and the feds are all have done work or are doing work. So we want this integrated in with what they're doing, but we want it specific to Will County because we obviously have major intermodals and others that are coming online in the future, both out east and along I-55 down in District 6. So this is going to be very, very important work. So we're excited and pleased with their response that $750,000.
I think you're going to see more than 57 corridor eventually. It comes through.
And how does it work? I mean, with funding coming from those different sources, obviously, it's, we want to make sure Will County's concerns come first before
Right.
IDOT or CMAP. So even though funding comes from somewhere,
This is funding for our study,
Okay.
so it's not, I mean,
Okay.
it's just, we don't want our study to be siloed out from their
Right.
work. So
Okay.
that data, and CMAP has a lot of data that they're gonna be able to share with us, and there's other sources, variety. But our goal, and this will be set out with the RFQ, was to have something that's gonna make our application stand out from others, so we're competitive for federal funding. So, but this is funding a study that's specific to Will County. So it's because there were, with CDM Smith, because there are regional studies, but sometimes, to your point, we get lost in that. But I think, to Mr. Mousis's point, this is a recognition that Will County is both challenged, but also has a lot of the economic development going on in the state and the region, so they know to keep us competitive.
Goes on here, affects the
Everybody.
entire region.
Right.
Yeah. So, hey, that's great. Should we thank you, Nick, or should we say good job? Should we give you a pat on the back?
I don't know if I had anything to do with it, but I was facilitator of the calls, the messenger. I got the call and said 750. I said, excuse me, did you say 750? So it was
I
great.
actually was talking to Bruce, like, I'm just reading this email. I go, is this right, 750? He goes, yeah. He goes, I just talked to Nick, he said 750.
In all seriousness, though, that this is.
I was surprised, by the way.
Somewhat I think you can attribute a lot of this to the product of the relationships with people like Secretary Blankenhorn and the deputy director there at IDOT, and having Ann Schneider as our person. She knows what they're looking for, and she knows who to talk to. So it's a good cooperative effort. So.
Thanks to all. Congratulations to all. Okay. Anything else, Matt?
We're gonna fix the bridge on Will Road in District 6.
Okay. Every month I see District 6 here. I will come back to you again. Darren, did you have anything?
No, I'm sorry. No, you didn't.
Okay, all right. Judy, did you want to say something?
I'll wait till you're done with everything and public comment.
Okay, legislative, we kind of did that already. Capital improvements, Ray, you have anything?
I'm going to go on the executive to the judicial center contract with White.
And it's items from PDC.
Oh, what claims?
And then, of course, the committee meeting will be next, committee meeting next Tuesday. The committee will pay bills and do some other things. Okay, executive committee, any questions for me? Okay, now we'll get to public comment.
Can I?
You're right. I did have somebody there, Robin, from the executive committee wanted to talk about Toys Are for Tots.
Toys for Tots?
No, the other Robin.
Yeah, I don't see
Oh,
her.
the other Robin.
I'll
But if
talk
you
for
can-
Robin, but
Okay.
she is the one that started this project, but she wants to know, just to let everybody know that for the food drive, it's through the Christ Pantry of Joliet, and the items are due on County Board Day, November 17th. And then also Toys for Tots, they're gonna collect December 9th, so if anybody can reach into their pockets and help a little bit, that would be appreciated.
Okay. If you put something out for Toys for Tots, things change. Would they prefer, like a little gift certificate, or gift card or something from like Target versus getting a stuffed animal? Or, if there's a preference of what people are looking for these days, or if there's a shortage of, that could be helpful. Just if you want to tell her, I'd like to see what they're looking for, me personally, I'd just rather give a gift card than go pick up a toy or something. Yeah, it's on the truck. So if you can give us some direction, I think that could help. So, okay. Okay. I have nothing. There's no need for executive session, correct?
No.
I'm not getting you, Judy.
Oh, Dave, you said something else?
I just have a point of information that I wanted to briefly share with this committee. And recently, there's been some discussion about, from originating in the Capital Committee with respect to issuance of the RFQ for the new public health facility. Okay, the RFQ is drafted, and I'd like to share it with both the Capital Committee chairwoman, and the public health chairwoman, and anybody else on this committee that's interested in reviewing it. We've already asked the department head to review it and got some feedback, some valuable feedback from the department head, and I'd like to get it out on the street.
Okay, so, you know, you have a few minutes, you can sit with Dave afterwards. Dave just sent it to me.
Two things that are of particular interest. It's the way it's worded now, and if anybody wants to change it, please, you know, all ears here. That it's to be built on the existing site. That's number one. An established budget, total project cost budget of $15 million. So those are the two parameters I think that are most meaningful at this stage. But a lot more detail in the draft, and I'll be glad to share with everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the public? Is there any comments from new members?
I don't know if you didn't want to hear anything I had to say today or what.
I always want to hear you have to say.
That's right. So, a couple things I wanted to bring up. My favorite subject, Peatone Airport. So, recently the Northwest Indiana Times had a story about 100 local officials at the South Suburban Economic Group discussing the airport. There's a brief little thing in our newspaper in the Northwest Indiana Times 2-3 weeks back. And I was recently interviewed, actually yesterday, from Illinois Review on this. So I have a couple concerns. What's happening? I haven't heard anything. My counterpart in the unique part of Eastern Will County discussed it with me, that he had heard that there's going to be movement on the airport. And I'm also greatly concerned with the legislation. We have new leadership down in Springfield, and we're going to have some pick up some additional new people that have never served down there before. And I know when we had Aaron Quick from Farnsworth come and talk, he talked about the vagueness of that legislation that got passed and everything like that. I think we need to look at that. I think we need to look and see, are there changes that we can try to get through to make sure that we have some control in it? Because right now, remember, they approved Quick Take to take the land, and they took control of anything away from Will County, basically gave it to Cook County. That South Suburban Cook County Mayors and Managers Group, they meet monthly out at Bolt Field. But my residents in Will Township, which is where that is located, were not allowed to vote there. We had to go into Peatone Township to the library to vote. So it's kind of like, why are they allowed to be there, but my own residents have to drive all the way into Peatone in a different township to vote, when we voted there for several years now. So all those different things, I think we need to discuss those things, because what's happening, where's it going? Because my constituents are going to want to know, and they're going to want to know where we stand on this and how we're going to move forward.
Farnsworth was our consultant for legislation in regards to the airport. If you want an update, you can probably ask Farnsworth to give us an update. You know, we can probably ask our state consultants to see what they know, with Curry and Associates to see what they hear. I can just put this over to the legislative committee.
I think you start with Julie and Brent, see what they can find out, because there's a lot of talk. Yeah, there is a lot of talk.
A lot of talk.
But it's all behind the scenes.
Yep.
There's no formal presentation.
That's what's always done.
And that's what they do behind the scenes.
They do it behind the scenes. Like I said, they meet monthly out there, and the discussion is held out there. I guess what we should do is find out exactly when they meet, and somebody from our board should actually attend, because it is open to the public, it's a public meeting. I'm not sure when they exactly meet, but that would be something for us to do, because here we go, we have Cook County coming into Will County, making decisions for us, trying to take over that's our that's part of our Will County. We should not allow that. We need to look at making changes to the legislation.
But they can't do anything without the state of Illinois. And I assume you're talking about the South Dakota mayor and managers.
Yep.
I'm just curious as to what's happening at the state level, and that's where I think that.
I don't think the governor's position has changed much.
I don't know. I hear different rumors, so I think we need to be proactive and look at that rather than sit back and wait, take a leadership role, and then say, this is what we want to happen, if something's going to happen, or do we want it to happen at all?
Yeah, you know, I would ask Bruce, Nick, talk with Brett and Julie, and see if they hear anything.
I was going to suggest too that we probably ought to orchestrate a meeting with IDOC Director Blankenhorn. And if something's going on at the airport,
Well, that's true.
he's going to know about it.
Yeah. It's under him, it's under IDOT. Yeah, I agree there. All right, Nick, see what you can find out. That way we can meet with him. Okay.
Motion adjourned.
Yes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the county board agenda as amended. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Is there anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.